Chapter 34, Chatham Pier. As soon as my eyes open the next morning, I think of Ronan, worried about what's happened. I wish I could call him, but their only phone is his dad's cell. Grammy is yelling up the stairs to me, saying it's Lobster Roll Sunday, which is a holiday that Henry made up once, where we all go to Chatham Pier for lobster rolls. It's not a fancy place, but it's the best spot on all of the Cape, and it's on the pier where the reel is moored. Just as Henry, Esme, Ruby, Olive, Grammy, and I are ready to pile into Esme's van for the drive, Ruby tells Henry she needs to go to the bathroom, so he takes her back inside. While they're inside, I hear Grammy tell Esme that maybe Ruby needs glasses. That makes sense. I think about the way she trips on things and reaches for spots on the floor, thinking they're objects. I volunteer to sit in the way back, hoping that I won't have to do much talking. When Ruby tumbles into the seat next to me, I'm not exactly thrilled. But after she's buckled in, she points her hands on both sides of my face and says, "You are sad." "Yeah," I answer, "I am." Ruby rests the side of her face against my arm, and her hand pats me slowly. "I'm sorry," she says, just like her mom would do. Henry glances back, and I can tell he has questions. When we get to the pier, Ruby makes a run for the upper deck, overlooking the boats coming in. Henry follows her and scoops her up. Looking over Chatham Harbor, Ruby squeals, "The reel, Daddy, the reel," pointing at the only multicolored boat in the harbor. "That's right, Spitfire, that's right." I walk down the stairs, drawing my hand lightly along a railing to avoid slivers, and walk out to the end of the pier. It's my favorite spot. When you stand on the edge, you can't see anything but water and sandbars and sky. I stand, but not close to the edge. I close my eyes and smell the boat motors, along with skunks. It's one of my favorite smells. I hear the fishermen yelling to each other and the sounds of heavy ropes hitting docks, chain pulleys, lifting fish hauls onto the steel ramps, and the loud thud of a few thousand pounds of fish hitting the bottom of a cardboard box lined in plastic and ice. I can tell the approaching footsteps are Henry's. He stands next to me and stands quiet for a few moments before clearing his throat and asking, "So, what's going on?" My first thought is to say that nothing is wrong, but the truth is I want to tell him. I'm sorry, I worry, though, that Ronan would be upset if I tell anyone. Well, I say, "You know how Grammy says that you don't go off telling people other people's business, acting like it's yours just because you know about it? You let people tell their own stories?" "Yeah," he says, laughing. "I've heard her say that." "Well, it's kind of like that. Not my story to tell, but..." He tips his head to the side. "Is it Ronan?" I nod. He looks concerned. "Is he okay?" I'm not sure. Well, I don't know that telling me is gossip, honey. If Ronan needs help, I may be able to do something. And so I tell him the whole story and the whole truth about how I thought his mom was dead, but then she wrote him a letter, and then he punched kids that he didn't even know and ended up in a police car. Now, I say, I don't know what's happened. Henry scratches the back of his head and then smooths out his hair from his forehead to the back. That's what Henry does when he's worried. "Well, maybe we'll go over there this evening, check on things." "Really?" I ask. "Yeah," he takes a long breath. Before I first took Ronan out of the reel, his dad called me to introduce himself, and we realized that we know each other. Or we did. I knew Sherman Gale, or Gusty, as he goes by now, a long time ago. Back in the day, we were both pretty foolish, and he had some troubles with using his fists instead of his words, so we'll lend some support to both of them. Now I'm even more worried than I was before. Chapter 35. Who you gonna be? Ronan opens the door when Henry knocks. "Hey there, Ronan. We came by to see how you're making out with things." Ronan glares at me and doesn't say a word. "Your dad home?" Henry asks. Just then, Gusty came out of the kitchen. "Ronan, where are you going?" he asks. Then he sees us. He stares at Henry long and hard, and I am frightened. "May we come in?" Henry asks, and Ronan glances back at his father. Gusty looks down at himself, his shoes covered in grass clippings. "You can come in, I suppose," he says, "but we're not really set up for company." Henry steps inside. "Nice place," he says. "It's all right. Temporary housing for the position. I'm looking for a permanent place for us to move to after the summer." I can tell by the way Ronan's eyes widen that he didn't know they were going to have to move. Henry extends his hand to Ronan's dad, but Gusty doesn't reach back. He just locks eyes with Henry and says, "It's been a long time." "It has," Henry says. "A lot of water under the bridge since then." Henry looks at Ronan and then back at Gusty. "You have a fine boy here, Sherman. A real good kid. Smart, tough, a good heart, just like his father." Gusty's head drops a bit and he finally reaches for Henry's hand. and their shake is a long one. They finally let go, and Henry clears his throat as he turns to Ronan. He extends his hand again, and Ronan takes it. "How are you doing, Ronan?" Ronan shrugs. "Yeah," Henry began. "I know about what happened at the beach. It's actually why I'm here." "Wait, what is he doing?" Gusty motions toward the couch to offer us seats. He scrambles to clear the pillows and blankets piled up on it. I look around and notice there is only one bedroom. Ronan must sleep on the couch. "Thank you, Sherman," Henry says. "Please call me Gusty. I haven't gone by Sherman in years." He nods at me and smiles. Delcy there is awfully fond of my name." Gusty extends his hand to me and we shake. "How you been, Delcy? I appreciate how good you and your grandmother have been to my Ronan. This whole being a dad thing is new to me. It took me a while to find my sea legs, but we're doing all right now." Ronan to me. This makes me smile and makes Ronan look at his father as if he can't believe what he's hearing. "So," Henry says, turning to Ronan and me, "can you give us a few minutes?" "Sure, come on," Ronan says, walking away. I follow. He pushes open a door off the kitchen that leads into a bedroom with a New England Patriots poster and 2 shark posters. Ronan's jacket's on the bed. The baseball hat's on the side table. "You have your own room?" I ask. "When I saw the stuff on the couch, I figured that was your bed." "Nah. My dad had this done for me when I got here. I mean, it's just a bed and a couple of posters, but it's cool he gave me the room." "Yeah, that was cool." He turns toward me. "So, you told Henry? I wish you hadn't done that." "I'm sorry. Doesn't matter, I guess." He takes the hat from the side table and plays with the buckle on the back. "So, what happened when the police brought you home?" "Well, for one, Brandy and Tressa were here to see it. Tressa was delightful. Hadn't even thought about them, which surprises me. My dad was, well, not happy, but he wasn't nearly as mad as I thought he would be. He said to stay put and then left to go fix something on the steps down to the beach. He came back later, reheated some of the stuff he calls his famous Portuguese seafood stew." He leans forward. "You know I don't really like seafood, but he says his mom used to make it, so I try to eat it. So I have a Grammy, too." He smiles, but Dad calls her my Avo. That's Grammy in Portuguese. "That's cool, Ronan. I hope I can meet your Grammy, your Avo, someday." "Yeah, me too. And guess what else? It turns out the Portuguese shark is the deepest living shark on Earth. I love that. I think that's really cool." "Me too, Ronan. That is cool." He nods. "So, you didn't get in trouble after the fight at the beach?" "No. After Stu, we just watched TV. My dad didn't say anything, not anything, except to tell me to brush my teeth. Henry calls us into the living room then, and when we sit down, he and Gusty look more relaxed. "I wanted to speak with both of you, but I wanted Gusty to hear as well," Henry says. Ronan answers okay, but I'm too busy wondering what the heck's going on. "I know you've had a tough time," Henry begins, looking at Ronan, "and how you came to be on the Cape. Anyone would be upset with what you've been through. But selfishly, I'm glad you're here. You've been a good friend to Delcy, and I'm happy to know you." "Thanks," Ronan mumbles. Henry leans forward, "and I'm here because I wanted to tell you a story about myself." "Okay, so when I was 18, some friends and I were hanging down on C Street Beach, and someone suggested we go do some bad things that were against the law. But you didn't go, right?" I ask. "Well, Delcy, actually, I did go. I knew it was wrong, and I knew it was stupid, but I went anyway because I'd had a terrible day, and I just had graduated high school, and I didn't know what else I was going to do. I wasn't getting along well in the world. I was really struggling." "Well, what did you do?" "We broke into a bunch of houses, took people's things, bad stuff, things I would never do now." "Wait," I say, feeling a bit dizzy. "You broke into people's houses?" "I did, Delcy. I'm not proud of it, but as I said, I would never do that now." He turns to Ronan. "So far that I went to jail, Ronan. I took things that didn't belong to me. I stood by while a friend fought with a homeowner. I fled the scene and didn't call an ambulance when I should have. I went to jail for 2 years, and I was lucky it wasn't longer." "I feel awful." Henry turns to me. "I've always told you about the little voice, right, Delcy?" "Yeah," I say, "the little voice. I think of that all the time. It tells you you're about to do something dumb." "That's right. I heard the voice that night, and I ignored it, and I paid for it." Ronan turns to his father. "Were you there, too? You said you used to know each other." Gusty draws in a deep breath and holds it, but Henry answers first. "Yes, Ronan, your dad was there on the beach that night. But when we said we were going to do what we were going to do, he told us we were idiots. And he was right. Your dad was the only one who didn't go that night." Ronan stares at his dad, stares at him the way a person looks when a terrible storm has finally ended. So, in prison, Henry continues, I had 2 years to think about what happened. That must have been awful, Ronan says. A great white shark can't survive in captivity. Most die after a few days. They won't eat. They ram their heads into the walls of the tank. That makes sense, Henry says. A strong animal like that, it's pretty awful to be locked up. So I had 2 years to decide what kind of life I was going to have when I got out. And getting out was not easy. People looked at me different. They treated me different. I had to tell people I'd been inside when I applied for jobs. It was hard to get someone to give me a chance. I was at the end of my rope. I even remember wondering if it would be easier to go back to jail. He looks me right in the eye. But it was your Papa Joseph, Dulcie. He was the one who told me a man is not made by his mistakes. He's made by what he does about them. Henry stares at the floor and shakes his head. And boy, did I work hard on his boat for him, morning, noon, and night. I wanted him to respect me the way I respected him, but I knew I had to earn it, and I did. He turns to Ronan. So you made a mistake out of anger. But that doesn't mean that's who you are. Character is made or broken by patterns of behavior, not one mistake. But I've made a lot of mistakes. Ronan, Gusty says, I understand. I had a temper too, but I learned that it takes more strength to control yourself than to fight. Henry nods. And I know you know a lot about sharks, Ronan, so I bet you know that a shark that doesn't keep moving forward can't survive. Now Henry puts a hand on Ronan's shoulder. I'm going to take a leap here and say that I think you've been through some hard stuff. I understand what that's like for a kid, Henry said. I get that it leaves you feeling lost and wondering how you fit into the world. Ronan nods. Some people aren't dealt easy hands, and it isn't fair. But I think if you play a difficult hand with courage and compassion, you end up stronger. It's hard, and I know there are times when the world beats you down, and you feel like that's the only way it'll ever be. Ronan lifts his head to look at Henry. Yeah, it does feel that way. But the thing is, Ronan, the thing you really have to ask yourself is, are you going to live your life as a victim or as a survivor? Chapter 36, Boots. Grammy's voice has a happy ringing sound to it, like a buzzer on a game show. Come on, baby girl, I have a surprise in store for you. Is this like when you told me there was a surprise and we shopped for a rake? I mean, it was a surprise, but not a good one, and you know how I love surprises. Her belly laugh makes me laugh too. What is the thing you've been begging and badgering me for all these years, leaving notes around the house to remind me, in my shoes, in the sugar bowl? I whip around to look at her. Seriously? For real? For real, she shakes her head. Here I was, trying to turn on my Wheel of Fortune and the remote wouldn't work, so I open up the battery door and what do I find? Another note about that kitten you have to have. It made me laugh so hard. I checked the Cape Cod Times and I found an ad. Free kittens. I already stopped and got the basics, like litter and food, and I already spoke to the woman. She's waiting for us. Grammy just kept talking about the lady with the kittens, but I think my brain couldn't listen anymore. All it could do was jump up and down. All I could do was imagine having my own kitten, finally. Dulcie? Huh? One condition. There's one condition. Well, besides your promise to take care of that critter. I know you'll do that. Anything. I'll do anything. I'm going to need my batteries back. I smile. I push the car door open and run to the small yellow house's front porch, ringing the bell before Grammy is even out of the car. She's coming up behind me as the front door swings open and a woman stands there smiling. Hello there, Grammy calls as she grabs the railing and pulls herself up the stairs. We talked on the phone about the sweet kittens you have. Oh, yes, of course. She steps back and waves us into a house that smells like flowers. The woman can't stop staring at my bare feet. I hadn't noticed before how dirty they are. Won't you follow me? The kittens are back here. We walk around a corner and she swings the bathroom door open. There are 3 kittens in a pile. 2 are sleeping. 1 is playing with its own tail. Grammy, I say, can we please take all 3? Oh, goodness, no. We will not be taking 3. Can I pick one up, I ask. The lady nods. I scoop up the one playing with his tail. He's pure white with 4 black feet, and it makes me laugh. I'll name him Boots. Look at his feet, Grammy. His fur is so soft that I can hardly even feel it as I pet him. I'm in love. I walk through the doorway, holding the kitten against my chest. He plays with the string on my sweatshirt. My finger scratches under his chin, and he purrs. I never knew that a purring cat feels like a mini version of Henry's generator. Makes me laugh again. Grammy and the lady talk a bit about the weather and cats. Grammy starts talking about our cat and how she prays every time she slides in, but tells the lady not to worry. If the car won't start in the driveway, we have AAA. The woman's phone dings and she checks her screen. I'm sorry. Will you excuse me for a moment, she tells us, and she heads into the kitchen. I hear loud whispering, and in a few moments the woman is back. Henry talks about wheels turning while people think on things, and this woman is thinking so hard right now I can almost hear the gears. The little voice tells me we should go. Well, Grammy says, thank you for the kitten. We'll be getting on our way. I take 2 steps, and then I hear the woman sigh. A sigh is never a good thing. Never. I'm so sorry, she says. I just can't. Can't what? Asked Grammy. I just can't let you have the cat. I just don't feel like it's the right thing to do. Wait, what? I really am sorry. I just don't see this as a good match. Then she reaches out and takes hold of the kitten. No, I say, tightening my grip as the cat's claws hold the strings of my sweatshirt, as if he doesn't want to leave me either. Please don't take Boots. He's supposed to be mine. Please don't. As she pulls the kitten away, I expect Grammy to say something, but she doesn't. I really am very sorry, the woman says, holding the kitten with one arm and reaching out with the other to grab the doorknob, giving us the sign to leave. The door closes gently behind us, but all I feel is a hard slam. Grammy doesn't say a prayer, but the car starts anyway. The rumbling of the engine reminds me of the purring kitten, but I swallow my tears to protect Grammy. As she puts the car in reverse, I look back up at the house, and standing there on the porch with her arms folded and that smug smile is Tressa. Chapter 37, Eggs and Potatoes. I hand Ronan a strong shoulder jar, half filled with lemonade. Here. There wasn't much left, so I split it between us. Thanks, he said, taking a drink. I sit on the bench next to him, shaking my jar a bit to hear the clinking of the ice cubes, noticing that the jar is half full. So, I hold up my jar and look at the sun through lemonade. Would you say that this jar is half empty or half full? He stares and thinks for a few seconds. Neither. The jar is just twice as big as it needs to be. It wasn't a choice, I laugh. Of course it was. I shake the jar to clink the cubes again. The jar is cold and wet and slippery, so it falls away from me. I reach, my fingers scrambling to catch it before it hits the patio. Glass smashes on the cement. I move forward, but Ronan is already off the bench. No, you stay. You have bare feet. Oh, yeah. He picks up the big pieces of glass and stacks them in a pile, a little tower of broken glass. I think of the day I broke the candy-covered frame with my mother's picture in it, and I think of Grammy's puzzles all broken up until someone puts them together. Ronan, I ask. Yeah, he asks, picking up pieces of smaller glass caught in the grass that grows up between the cracks in the cement. You think a person can break like a jar does? Can a person be hit so hard by someone that they just break? Nay, a body is too soft to shatter into pieces. No, not break into pieces. I mean, like the insides of a person. You mean like appendicitis or something? No, I say, my voice trailing off. Not like that. That's not what I mean. He stands watching me, his head tips to the side. What are you talking about, Delcy? My mouth doesn't want to say the words. He waits. I stare him dead in the eyes. Do you think we're broken? His eyebrows scrunch up. What do you mean broken? I mean, broken. Why would my mother just leave me? Why would your mom send you away? There must be something wrong with us. No, don't say that. That isn't right. Yeah, but... And besides, he interrupts, stepping forward, even when something is broken, you can fix it. I shake my head. I mean, you can fix a dishwasher, but not everything can be fixed. I point at the pile of glass he's made on the cement. We can't put the jar back together. Yeah, well, maybe you're right about that. But, well, we can make sure we don't step on it. I think about what that means. Maybe I've been stepping where I shouldn't lately. When I look back up at Ronan, he has stuffed his hands in his pockets and he's looking up at the trees. Be the egg, he says with a single nod. Be the egg, I ask. Is that what you said? Yeah, be the egg, not the potato. Ronan, why are you saying that? Is it a riddle? Ronan's face turns red. Delcy, I try so hard not to... He can't finish. I want to say something to him, but I still don't know what he's talking about. We didn't leave them. They left us. They did the leaving, right? That wasn't our fault. Yeah, I agree. So how can we be broken because of something someone else has done? I know that's true, but I have to try to feel that it's true. I know that's true, but I have to try to feel that it's true. I can't take my eyes off the broken glass on the ground. Why were you talking about eggs and potatoes, I ask? Because I want you to know that we're both eggs, Delcy, not potatoes. Why are we eggs and not potatoes? Think of what happens to each when you put them in boiling water. I smile, but his face makes me sad. It's like inside he's begging for me to agree. He needs me to agree. Well, I'd rather be hard-boiled like an egg than a smushy potato mess, but staring at the glass pieces, I think about Esme and the strong shoulder jars. I don't know, Ronan. I think maybe we're more like tea bags in hot water. We just get stronger and stronger. A smile spreads across Ronan's face, and then we both laugh. We both laugh so hard, it almost feels like crying. Chapter 38, now we're cooking. Henry lugs out the half barrel for another neighborhood cookout. Ruby is dragging an empty cooler, and Esme is following her with bags of ice. Ruby, I ask, why are you always covered in Band-Aids? I like how they smell. How they smell? Yeah, they smell all Band-Aidy. I like them, and I like how people act about them. What do you mean? Well, when people see them, they act all nice, asking me how I hurt myself and if I'm okay, and I like it. I smile at her logic. And are you okay, Ruby? Are people being nice to you? Everyone but Olive, Ruby frowns. Olive says I'm clumsy and probably trip over my own shadow. I put my arm around Ruby and pull her close. I think of the elephants that Esme told me about and how Ruby is sort of like my little sister. I'm going to be extra good to her. Grammy drives up and Ronan is in his car. Look what I found on the road. Grammy laughs as she gets out of the car. I told him it was the cookout night and he should come over. Hey everyone, what's for dinner? Not that it matters, he smiles. Crab cakes, I say. He makes a face and I laugh, telling him that I'm kidding. Henry has got some of Esme's island music playing and uses his root beer bottle as a microphone to sing to us while he cooks. Soon Olive trudges across the neighborhood, pine needles flying, looking all Olive-like. But she has a white box in her hands. What could she be carrying? She steps up to Ruby and I join them, feeling a bit worried. Olive lets some pretty awful things fly when she talks to her. Esme is also nearby, keeping an eye out. Olive, clutching the box, looks up at both Esme and me. What? Is this a committee? I just wanted to talk to Ruby for a minute. Go ahead, Esme says. Olive's expression looks like she just stepped on a tack. Here, she says, pushing the ratty box toward Ruby. This is yours. Esme looks nervous, but lets Ruby open it. What's inside is too beautiful for such a box. Oh, Ruby says, pulling out a dress. It's a quilt of many different squares of fabric in all colors of purple with some red and orange sprinkled in it. I've never seen anything like it. It seems to glow. Underneath, there's another dress, identical but small, like it's for a doll. Ruby looks up, wide-eyed but sad. They aren't mine. Olive sighs. Well, of course they are, child. You've been prattling on for months that you wanted that Melody doll in matching outfits. I couldn't manage the expensive doll, but I thought the dress could be worn by another one of your dolls. Ruby's happy squeal hits a note I could swear could shatter glass. Olive looks nervous. Esme speaks slowly. So you bought these somewhere? No, I couldn't do that. I made them. I've been working on them since March 9th. My sewing machine died, so I had to stitch them by hand. Wait, you made these by hand? Olive stands like a statue. Oh my, Esme says. I don't know what to say, Olive. They're gorgeous. Well, Olive sputters, you don't need to say anything. She spins and takes a step away and then turns back. She speaks fast. They're purple because you and your mama love that color, although I don't know why. And look, she points to a quilt square. I searched for fabric with wet red wagons on it. There's some fish on there for your father and some silly bright lizards to match the ones on your house. You'll have to look for other things yourself, so that's that. And she spins and stomps away the same way she came. Man, just when I thought Olive couldn't possibly surprise me anymore. Isn't it strange how she can be so sharp and yet so soft, too?